I created some really cool English learning experiences using Perplexity Labs. This is a new AI feature from Perplexity that allows you to create almost anything you can imagine using a prompt. You just have to have a good idea. And I want to share some of the projects that I created. If I can, I'm going to put the links to these in the description so that you can play around with them yourself. So first, let's check out this one. So I'm going to give you the prompt that I used here. The idea was, can exploring vocabulary, which can be kind of boring, can this be relaxing? Can this be just a kind of chill thing? And this has got my wheels turning a bit. I'm starting to think about maybe turning this into an app. The premise of the app is learn English in a very relaxing way. So this is just me playing around. But the idea is to create a single-page web app called Lo-Fi Conversation Stream that delivers an ambient learning vibe. So basically, one page, I want bubbles to slowly float up the screen. I want each bubble to have a word. When you mouse over the word, then you get the definition. And then when you click on it, the bubble pops. And you have to pop all the bubbles for it to go to the next level. And it's supposed to be kind of just relaxing and kind of fun. Now, the first version didn't work at all. There were no bubbles. I like the vibe, right? Kind of a lo-fi vibe. But so you kind of just keep iterating. You keep playing around, basically. Can you fix this? This is not working. I like the music, but I don't like the bubbles. This is vibe coding, right? This is for people who don't have a background in coding, basically banging their head against whether they're using V0 or Claude or Google AI Studio or Perplexity Labs, basically the machine trying to get it to create what you want. So eventually, I got to something that I really like. I'm going to scroll all the way down and show you the one that I like. And this is the music. Okay, so the music is on. All right, I know, not the best music. This does look small. Can I zoom in a little bit? Okay, zoom in a bit. There we go. So you see how they get stuck here at the top? And when you mouse over it, adequate, satisfactory, or acceptable in quality or quantity, and it makes a little zip sound. Capacity, the maximum amount that something can contain or produce. Confidence. Okay, celebration. I kind of like how they wiggle too. So that's kind of more fun than flashcards, right? It's more interesting than flashcards. It's a little more relaxing. I know it's not perfect, but the idea is to kind of play with it and eventually, come up with something more compelling. Now I'm thinking about, okay, how could I make this really useful? How could I add sentence context? How could I add spaced repetition? How could something like this replace flashcards? How could I allow people to upload their own lists or an article? So there are a lot of ideas I have now. This is, I think, really interesting. Okay, now for the next one, I wanted to create a topic-based news article explorer that would pull out useful vocabulary, give me a summary, allow me to read the original article, and also give me a quiz. Now, I know that's a lot to ask, and I also wanted it to look interesting. So those are kind of my requirements. And this is the first version. Not that great. If I put in, I don't know, let's see, technology, it basically comes up with a couple of articles and a summary, but I didn't really like how that felt. And so after a few iterations, I finally came up with, and I am quite proud of this, I think it's very interesting. I think the concept is very interesting. I finally came up with this, the news vocab brief with the 8-bit aesthetic, which I think is cool. Let's search technology here. Okay, quantum computing breakthrough, AI revolution. I mean, this looks like a website from the 90s, which is a good thing. I think that's cool. So this is Reuters. Let's click on that. Now, in theory, I should be able to click on this and read the original article. This should be a summary of the article. Maybe I could say that I want that bullet point, right? This is interesting vocabulary, useful vocabulary from the article with pronunciation that I can play.
Milestone.
It's the robot pronunciation, but it's, maybe better than nothing. Not the best sound, right? But, and then a quiz. According to this Reuters article, what is the main topic being discussed? What's this, right? Correct. Well done. Okay. So I've got some quiz questions. I can go next. This needs to be refined, but the concept of this, I think, is really cool because what's the problem with articles? Reading an article can be kind of overwhelming if you're an English learner, right? So if you can access it through an interface that breaks it down a little bit, that gives you, hey, some interesting words, right? Useful words, learn some pronunciation, read it, and then test your comprehension. Here's a summary to make sure you understand what's going on. This idea is what I would like to see more of. More ways to make things like books and movies and articles accessible to English learners. More useful for English learners. Okay, now this one is a bit more traditional, but also very cool. And think about using something like this for work, for creating slides. I hate creating slides. It's my least favorite thing. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So, if I don't have to do it, and I can just describe what I want, fantastic. Create a slide presentation about the 10 most common English prepositions. Include one slide for each preposition with generated images that visually show what they mean and example sentences. So let's open up these slides. Let's see how it looks. Okay, this looks pretty good. It's pretty clean. There's a next button behind me that you can't see that I'm clicking on here. Okay, maybe I need to zoom out because the in is overlapped. Okay, that looks better. Meaning, shows location inside something or within boundaries, indicates time periods. The cat is in the box. We live in New York. The meeting is in January. She works in the garden. And there's a nice little generated picture of the cat in the box. Oh, and arrows work. I can just arrow over. There's on, with a picture of a book on a table. There's at, with a person at a bus stop. There's for, shows purpose, duration, or intended recipient, indicates benefit or reason. For mom, and it's a gift. That makes perfect sense. This gift is for you. With, by. Okay, so these are actually useful, and it's not something that a teacher created. It's not something I really created. I just ask myself what I want to learn right now or what I want to share right now. Oh, prepositions. I need to focus more on that. Okay, yes, I do have a 30-hour course on prepositions, and it's a different animal, right? It's really deep. Building prepositions into your bones, basically. 30 hours of prepositions, right? But if you want to review grammar or just get a better sense for something that you're not quite clear on, something like this can be very useful. Okay, back to really interesting stuff here. English Idiom Explorer. This one is very cool. Create an interactive web page that helps English learners grasp any idiom they type. Instructions. Ask the user for one English idiom. Use live web search to pull at least 3 real sentences that use the idiom in context. Keep the full sentences and capture the source URLs for citation. So basically, these are just some requirements that I have for creating basically an idiom explorer. One big problem I have about trying to find the meaning of idioms is that apart from the free dictionary, which is great, there aren't a lot of great ways to really understand idioms, really learn with real examples. I'm not saying don't use the free dictionary. It's great. You should. And of course, ChatGPT is a great way to do that too. But this is a little bit more focused, right? So after a few iterations, a few versions, I came up with something that I think is pretty cool. I like how this one looks, but it didn't work very well. All right, so let's open up English Idiom Explorer. And we have some popular idioms to choose from. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay. Cost an arm and a leg. Now you see how it appears, and you can move it around as a bubble. When you mouse over, you get examples. Be very expensive. That designer bag costs an arm and a leg. The car repair is going to cost an arm and a leg. Now, the only issue with this one is that the listen button can't be clicked because it pops up and follows the mouse everywhere, right? So that's the issue. So that's something I fixed in the next version, but then in the next version, there was another little issue. So I like this version, and it's okay to not listen to it, I guess. Okay, So if I can click on several of these together, they start to build a little cloud, right, that starts to build out and maybe even make connections. Now, if you notice with Break the Ice there, it popped up 2 more. Break the ice, make the first move. The way that I thought of this was, I want not just the thing that I choose, I want things related to it. So, if there are other idioms like or somehow related to, for example, break the ice, I would like to see those too. And I would like them to be connected. So I'm going to move these 2 over here. See how they're connected together? They're kind of stuck to it. Because get the ball rolling and make the first move are related to starting things, getting going, right? The beginning of a conversation. They're connected, whereas these are not really connected. So this concept is kind of exploring visually in an almost tactile way, finding connections and learning in a playful way, which I think is cool. It's very cool. Now, I did attempt to create a more complex game. I'm not crazy about how it turned out, but basically, I'll share the idea. And if someone wants to try to build it themselves, well, contact me. Maybe we can work together on it. If you are interested in creating something real and you have a background in this stuff, right now I'm really exploring apps, games, interesting experiences for language learning. So feel free to reach out if you'd like to maybe collaborate on something. Basically, what I'm trying to do here with this is, as this little character, the blue square that's moving around, I want to have conversations and I want to have challenges. So I can have conversations with some of these squares. If I hit the space bar, where is it? Maybe this one? If I hit the space bar, I can have conversations, or I should be able to. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I choose the right response. I just pulled fresh bread from the oven. Interested? What's the best thing to say? It smells wonderful. I'll take a loaf, please. The aromatic qualities are appealing. I shall acquire one. Give me bread now. Well, obviously, this one is the best response, right? Perfect. Very polite. I have to choose the most polite response. Let's see about this one. What do I get? Welcome to our village. How can I help you today? Good morning. I'm exploring your beautiful town. I'm walking in this place for the purpose of seeing it. Me want look town. Okay, so one problem here is that they're not difficult enough, and the conversation isn't very dynamic. It's only one interaction, and it's always the first option is always correct. So obviously there's some big problems. It's oversimplified. But what you're doing is filling up a health bar, and what are these things wandering around? Well, these are little misspellings. I had this idea where, what if they're little creatures that they don't attack you, but you can go and kill them and get points? And the way to kill them is to spell them correctly. So this is spelled incorrectly. This should be 2 R's and 2 C's. O-C-C-U-R-R-E-D. And if we spell it correctly, hey, we've kind of vanquished it, right? So let's, there should be another one. There's one little one wandering around behind me. See if I can catch that little guy before he gets away. Okay, here we go. E-M-B-A-R-R-A-S-S. Oops, what do I do here? Oh, always the first one, right? Okay, so that's the idea. And then once you reach 100% XP, so you're basically just wandering around, spelling these little guys correctly, and having interactions with people in the town. Once you get 100% XP, then a boss spawns, and you have an even more difficult challenge to overcome, a language challenge, and then you go to the next level. So this is just me exploring. This is just me playing around, vibe coding, trying to think about what is the future of English learning. And it seems very clear to me that the future of English learning is not studying. It's not sitting down, learning by myself. It's interactive. It's dynamic. It doesn't feel as much like learning as a classroom does, right? It's applied language skills that force you out of your comfort zone, that force you to use language in new ways. And I think we're at the very edge, the forefront of what's going to be, I think, an incredible future, not just for English learning, for language learning more broadly, for learning in general. So this is, I think, a very, very exciting time, and I love to explore this kind of stuff and play around. I was up until 2 a.m. building this stuff. So let me know what you think about these ideas. I'm going to try to include links to some of them in the description. Again, if you'd like to collaborate on anything, maybe reach out. My email is on my website. Of course, check out the 90-day program in the links in the description. That is the best way to improve your English in 90 days. It's a bit intense, but I truly believe it is the best way to improve your English in 90 days. 50 hours of video lessons. You do assignments, you get feedback from AIs, you interact with me if you need help throughout the program on WhatsApp. And if by the time you get to the end, you're not happy with your results, you can get a full refund, no questions asked. So check that out, like and subscribe if you haven't done that already, and I'll see you in the next one.